gambling specialist. Adam Chernoff, host of the Simple Handicap Sports Betting Podcast, also with Right Angle Sports. Adam, how are you, man? You're a Jets fan. You got to tell the audience that right off the bat.
I am. It's a disclaimer you have to get out there, but I think there's a lot more reason for what we're about to talk about to be excited.
Yeah, so Adam knows that the Jets are favored in 14 of 17 games this season. That's crazy for a team that hasn't been to the playoffs. I think since like the Nixon administration, it's been a minute. But Adam, you're bullish, extremely bullish on the Jets this season. Let's hear it.
The floor is 11 wins. And J-Mac, that 14 number for games they might be favored in could be a little bit low when you look at 6 of the first 8 games and how this schedule could skew very easy. But when you talk about pressure on Aaron Rodgers and this team, it couldn't be higher. I mean, everybody's job on the line, offense, defense, coaching staff, it's all out there. It has to happen this season. And I have full belief that it will. I want to look at Aaron Rodgers and say there's never been a quarterback in the NFL off an injury with more personal motivation to prove that he can still play well, especially at this age. It is as driven of an Aaron Rodgers that we're going to see ever in his career. And you match that up with the top 5 offense and the top 5 defense. Ceiling is very high for the Jets this year. It's a tough thing to say, but this team's going to win the division and make some noise.
Yeah, you look at the Bills, they have a bit of a drop-off coming. The Dolphins lost, I think, 5 starters on defense. We know the Patriots are a train wreck. Jets should win the division, but can the tackles hold up? And, can Aaron Rodgers coming off the Achilles? I don't think there's a lot of evidence of any quarterback at this age coming off an Achilles and thriving, is there?
There isn't, and I'm sort of more comfortable that it's a leg injury more so than an arm injury. Arm strength is not an issue that he's had. But, I mean, you're comparing this to last year with Zach Wilson and Boyle. I mean, that got 7 wins out of this team and this core that is still there. It's an upgrade on the offensive line, especially at the tackles position. And so I'm looking for Aaron Rodgers to just distribute the ball, get it into space accurately. I think he can. He's got an offensive player of the year candidate in Breece Hall. He's got another one at Garrett Wilson out wide. You can't overstate how loaded this Jets roster is. All the pieces are there for a big season.
Let's pivot to the Falcons, who have become like a flashpoint around the league for their process of giving Kirk Cousins $100 million guaranteed and then drafting Michael Penix in the top 10. Where do you stand on that? And are the Falcons a bet-on team for you this season?
I think the Penix move was a good decision. I like it. I'm going to get criticized because it was, for most people, a clear overdraft, but I don't agree with this. Look at the Falcons right now. They've got a very good roster full of young talent. They're very much in win-now mode. And if you're thinking about the next 5 years for this team, they're not going to be drafting nearly that high again if things play out the way they want it to with this new coaching staff. So I think going out and getting the quarterback that you wanted and knowing there were teams behind you that were trying to get up and get him sets you up for a very comfortable spot. We still don't know if Cousins is 100%. Nobody seems to be questioning his health like they are with Aaron Rodgers. And if I want to paint the parallels between the Falcons this year and the Jets last year, New York took all the criticism in the world for not having a backup quarterback in place that could carry the load if Rodgers went down, especially so after the Falcons go out and get Penix on a discount relative to what they could have found from other backup quarterbacks and what they would have had to pay. I think it was a good move. The criticism to me is unwarranted. I think this is going to be a very good offense under Zach Robinson, a modern play caller the Falcons desperately need with these weapons.
Let's pivot to the Steelers, a team I'm not high on. I see a win total around 8.5. That feels very inflated. I think this is like a 6-win team. The Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, I don't want to call it a poo-poo platter, but it's 2 very mid players right now at their stage in their career. I don't like it at all. Tomlin probably leaving after this season. Are the Steelers a team you're going to look to fade?
They are. I think it's the first losing season for Mike Tomlin. I'm with you on that 6-win prediction. I think 6 to 7 looks pretty good. The schedule in the latter part, weeks 11 on, is a disaster. And if you're banking on the Steelers being competitive again and Tomlin having another winning season, you need this offense to click early. And I see nothing but trouble with that happening. First of all, Arthur Smith, the Steelers going outside the organization to get him is uncharacteristic. They typically promote from within. And bringing in Russell Wilson, it's great for the price, but how is this going to work? I just don't see it because Arthur Smith, a lot of heavy personnel, a lot of tight ends, a lot of running backs. He attacks the middle of the field. something Russell Wilson has not done ever in his career is attack the middle of the field. He's dropping back. He's holding on to the ball. He's pushing it out wide. That's something the Steelers don't have. And I don't think Arthur Smith is going to confidently bring out from these weapons that he has. A lot of youth that you need to get clicking very early. I think the Steelers are in trouble. I think the offense is going to struggle. I think it's going to be a 6-7 win season. And you're right. This might be it for Mike Tomlin.
All right, let's stay in the division. Baltimore Ravens. I think losing the defensive coordinator, McDonald, there may not be a bigger loss for any coach in the league other than Tampa. I don't know. They add Derrick Henry. This team, there's no way they're the number one seed again, right? Like for some reason, I'm not vibing with the lines. Trenches, both sides feel a lot of newness. It's 10 wins maybe for the Ravens?
I think that's fair. Mike McDonald really is changing the entire way the league coaches defense. That loss is enormous. They still have great talent at all levels on the defense, but I mean, they're going to their third option now, defensive coordinator. It's a big shift, no matter how you look at it. Offensively, a lot of talk about Lamar and the weight and the change in the stature and what he's trying to get from it. Todd Monken spoke last week, kind of privately on a very hidden podcast that I was able to dig up on YouTube. He said he wants Lamar to run less. And it's actually something that went back to last year following the Titans game in London. Remember how ugly that got? Where they were pushing Lamar to run less, especially within the red zone. So I actually look at the Ravens. If there's going to be a defensive drop-off and the offense is going to go more pass-heavy, which they were incredibly efficient at doing, especially out of play action last year, as we go into year 2 of this Monken offense, the Ravens might throw the football a lot more than expected. They may turn out to be one of the higher scoring teams in the NFL. I think they finished top 5 for scoring, score a ton of points, but their games overall look for a lot of overs, because if there is that defensive drop-off and you get a very well-oiled second-year Monken offense with Lamar throwing a ton, that's going to be a scary offense too. So a lot of high-scoring games for the Ravens in 24. I think Lamar has his best passing year ever.
Oh, wow. Okay. A couple more real quick. So Kansas City, I'm kind of over the Chiefs. 2 Super Bowls in a row. It's not like fatigue like with Brady and the Patriots, but we just need some newness in there. I thought the Niners had him in the Super Bowl. However, very tumultuous offseason in KC between, this kicker mouthing off and Rashee Rice getting arrested multiple times, Andy Reid having to talk to the media about all this nonsense. It feels like a noisy offseason. They lose Snead, who was an amazing cornerback for them. I see some drop-off, but I don't know that you agree.
I don't, and I'll add on to it. Mahomes started a coffee company. Kelsey's throwing parties and music festivals. You have offensive linemen in trouble with the law. I mean, the Chiefs can't escape the bad news cycle seemingly for the last 2 months of the offseason. However, I mean, the culture around this team is so strong. They just overcome it every year. The criticism on them last year, they didn't have receivers. Didn't matter. They figured it out. The criticism on them 2 seasons ago, they didn't have a defense. Didn't matter. They figure it out. They're just able to overcome everything. And now with the schedule that they have, playing on every single day except one of the week is crazy to think about. I think that they're as well equipped and as well positioned to overcome that with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and just how well they game plan on a weekly basis. I don't think any of this phases them in the regular season or the postseason. I still think they're far and away the best team in the AFC.
Oh, damn it. All right, well, we'll end with your hottest take. So, obviously, you and your group, you guys can move markets, and the Carolina Panthers win total was 4.5 earlier this week, shall we say, or last week. You guys single-handedly moved it to 5.5 because you love the Carolina Panthers. Adam, the audience is very curious about it. What is there to love about Bryce Young and company?
Yeah, at Red Angle Sports, we're all over the Panthers over. I think they're a fringe NFC wildcard team. This is putting Bryce Young in a much better position with the modern coaching staff that is coming in, led by Dave Canales. When you look at what Canales has done in his career, he led Russell Wilson to his best ever career passing in Seattle. He led Geno Smith, who everybody wrote off, to his best season that was better than anything Wilson had in Seattle. And then last year, he revives Baker Mayfield, another QB that everybody wrote off. Bryce Young, very similar situation. He's now got weapons around him. He's got competent coaching. And to me, J-Mac, this looks a lot like the Jags in 2021 and 2022. You had Lawrence, the number 1 pick, come in at QB, was in a very bad coaching staff situation. Expectations came way down after year 1, year 2. there's the playoff run. I think the Panthers in a weak division in the South set up very similarly. I think it's a great coaching staff and an organization that's going to compete for that spot of a wild card in the NFC. Wow. So very bullish on the Panthers this season.
That's another reason I like you. Nobody is saying the Carolina Panthers are competing for a wild card spot, except you, Adam. That's Adam Chernoff. Get his podcast, The Simple Handicap. He's on Twitter at Adam Chernoff. Adam, amazing stuff. Continued success, buddy.
Thanks very much, Jack. Chat soon.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.